Wow! Apophis. And Hathor.
Yours is just called anyway.
None of us will answer though.
So I thought we'd start just by you guys standing there and us looking for a while, because there are some beautiful people in this room. All right, you're VIP, you know how to behave. I'm going to do something I don't normally do. I'm going to put the microphone out into the crowd. I will do that for you, madam, please. Who's got a question? Who'd like to start?
Look how low we are.
Yeah.
You guys at the back can't even see us down here.
That's because you're sitting like this. I can't see.
Now you can see. There we go.
Careful.
That's how I know.
Just in case. The paperwork.
Justin Bieber.
Don't want another injury.
Nah, such a...
Oh yeah, please, no more injury. Oh dear, yeah. Oh, I'm
There you go.
that's not... I know, I just want to stretch out across there. I know.
Yeah. Hey. This couch is gonna go over. It's gonna go over.
So to get this shot, I have to get my own back. There's one on the internet already.
I'm not part of this one. This was a bad idea.
Yeah. Someone's gonna end up crying.
Someone's going to go to the hospital. All the agents tears.
Did you get my hand on her
Oh,
ass?
I don't know. It's being recorded. So. Did anyone? Excellent. That's great.
Did anyone see the picture that was posted on Twitter when the four of us were doing our panel in Melbourne? And there just happened to be this one frame that involved Peter's head kind of between Hathor's knees. I don't know, it was quite rude.
She wasn't smiling.
Yeah, no. Sue-Ann eventually smiled very, very big. Very big smile.
So what you doing down there, honey?
How is everyone today? Well, it's doing great. We were talking about this earlier. We've been having such a good time of 4 Goa'ulds together. And I was saying we had so much fun in Melbourne, and people were saying, well, maybe you should make this kind of a thing. So we started talking about it, and I think eventually we're just going to get a van and just drive around. Just the 4 of us.
Black and gold van.
Black and gold? Lovely.
We've actually paid to...
Oh, where was, I'm sorry, say
We've
again?
actually paid to travel in New Zealand.
Well, we actually, I had a couple of days down in Rotorua.
Oh, yes.
It was fantastic. And then we all went, or several of us went to Waiheke Island, and a couple of us went to Hobbiton, and it is absolutely stunning. Yeah.
A couple of us just went to sleep. Like me. I didn't go to Hobbiton, but I went to Waiheke. It was beautiful.
I just wanted to say, I wanted to say it this morning, but happy birthday, Jacqueline.
Yes.
Sorry, Armageddon tradition. 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jacqueline.
Nerdy.
Happy birthday to you.
So the 21st party tonight, I'm guessing?
Oh, thank you so much.
And tomorrow is mine.
I'm liking this idea of us taking this doing a road trip.
Yeah.
We'll be like the Rolling Stones. We'll be like the
Got
system.
matching costumes.
Exactly. The System Lords on tour.
The rolling balls. Stones. We've got to change that to balls.
Do you have the balls for this? When science fiction goes bad. Stargate like you've never seen it.
Oh, well, that's not the route to start.
All right, that's our introduction. Questions?
Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Just stand up and yell them out.
No, here we go. Here, if you want to.
Oh, well, you guys
You don't need
So will you be
that.
wearing those t-shirts tomorrow for the System Lord photos?
You betcha.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I just about made it here actually because I was presented with mine not 10 minutes ago and my name was spelled wrong. It was Apophis.
How
you know
did
what's
they fix it so fast?
Well, I ran over there. I knew you guys were going to one-up me by wearing yours on this panel. I didn't want to be left out. So I ran over there and to their credit, boom, immediately it was done. The guy who did it was really embarrassed because he knows all the symbols, he knows the chevrons, he knows absolutely everything about the series, and he spelled Apophis's name. Are they?
Well, your shirt's
Well, here's it's a little stretched.
It's a little
It's cheek.
I've got a glue
This is
stick
not
here
straight
somewhere.
and this is coming off. Look.
A call only has one A.
You're making it worse.
This is for all of you. Which do you think is the toughest system lord and why?
I think Hathor is very tough, and I'm probably in trouble for pointing out her stretched chest. So yeah, I think so.
Honey, it's because I blew on you, not blew you, blew on you, that you're looking at my chest in the first place.
Yes, all right. Well, you know, that sounds like an invitation to keep doing so.
I don't know, it's a good question. We'd all say ourselves. We'd all say, I'd say Ball is the toughest, Apophis would say he's the toughest, Hathor would say she's the toughest, and Newsy would say.
And I just remember, you know, I mean, of course it was my clone in Continuum, but I really wanted to have at Ball. I really was like, let me at him, and I just had to stand there for a minute on screen, but for hours and hours and hours while we were shooting it.
You're definitely not the toughest.
No.
You'd probably be the nerdiest, though.
Yes, actually.
That was RDA's nickname. Oh, Lord.
Okay, back like that. What was your nickname for him?
Oh, actually, well, I should have called him Dog Biscuit because of the fact that he and Michael Shanks liked to eat the dog biscuits from the craft services table. The dog biscuits were not put there for RDA and Michael Shanks, they were put there for people's dogs. But I think it started maybe as a dare, and I don't even know if he'll remember this, but I will never forget it. They would literally be walking around and it's like, that's not a cookie, it's not. And so they apparently liked them. And then RDA one day said, you know, what do you think I've got in my pocket? And I said, a dog biscuit. And he was like, oh my gosh, it's so good. Yeah?
I said, that explains why all the boys were like,
You have that effect on me.
it's my big A.
Boom.
Oh, honey.
Right on.
Cool. What was the audition process like for each of you to get the roles?
Boom, boom. I'll start because I read for the role of Tilk first, and that gets the biggest laugh usually. No, I read for the role of Tilk, and at a certain point during the audition process, which lasted 2 or 3 different auditions, Michael Greenberg had a light bulb illuminate above his bald noggin, and he said, "You should be Apophis." Boom. That was it for me.
And perfect casting for Apophis, right?
Oh,
I
yeah.
think so.
It's obvious. Now?
Yeah. I bore a certain resemblance to Jay Davidson. You know, the brown skin, long hair. I had long hair at the time. It was dreadlocks. Take Bob, buddy.
Yeah.
Dreadlocks. Yeah, and but I had to cut him off. For Apophis, which I didn't mind doing. And it's paid off. I still have him in a plastic bag, by the way.
Check out eBay.
One of these
And Sue-Ann, what about you? I went in and read for the show. I was for a guest starring role, and I think I was telling some people at breakfast this morning that I got the sides, which are just the script pages, and I was like, is she crazy? Because she just keeps referring to we, and we this and we that. And they didn't say anything about who she was. It was all quite secretive. And then there were all these girls at the audition who were like really sexy clothes, and I'd broken my toe. So I couldn't wear shoes. And, so I had one shoe on, and then just before I went in, I thought, well, I better take the other shoe off in case they think, oh, poor dear, she doesn't know that she's only got one shoe on. She's one of those great actresses from Los Angeles. She doesn't know she's not wearing another shoe. And I just wore trousers, and I just remember sort of sitting in the chair like, and then I said, is she a queen or something? Or is she royalty? Because she refers to herself as we, and the only person I know who does that is the queen. And he said, well, matter of speaking, yeah, she's like royalty. So I was like, excellent. And then I just remember sort of sitting in the chair like that with my broken toe flapping in the breeze. And I said to him, crop the shot there. And then we did too, because in the States I used to work with an American accent or my own accent. And the casting director knew that I spoke like this normally. So we did one with an American accent, and then just before I was about to go out, he said to me, come back, let's just do one where you do it as you. And I went, okay. And that was the one that did the trick. How about you?
Oh, how about me? Well, I remember getting a call. I had pretty much just moved to Vancouver from Los Angeles. And my agent called me and let me know that this script had come in, and I had a look, and I happened to have known Brad Wright from years previous. So I gave him a call and I said, Brad, guess whose show I'm coming in to read for tomorrow? And he said, I know. I actually know that you arrived here, and we thought this might be right. And so I arrived with a few other actresses. There were probably about 10 at that first audition. And I didn't know a lot about the show. It was quite new, and it still hadn't really filtered to me yet. And so I didn't understand exactly what a big deal it was. And these other actresses were so nervous and excited that I thought, oh my God, I better really start getting nervous and excited too. But the fact that it was kind of theatrical, I felt really comfortable with that.
Yeah.
And then when I did the callback, there were two other actresses. And and actually I had a little walk with Brad at one point, and he said, because again, they don't give you all the information that you want, and you're used to kind of having a lot of stuff to look at. And you're just given the scene, you don't know, well, how theatrical is it? How Shakespearean, how royal? And he said, yeah, so we want royal, we want kind of dictatorial, but not for the stage. So anyway, the rest is history. I really, really did well and got booked and loved the job and just wanted to keep on coming back and then keep on being cloned.
Me too, but no such luck.
Segue to me.
Yeah.
I met Michael Greenberg. Mike's married to a friend of mine who I worked with a lot in South Africa. And I met him when I moved to the United States in 2000. And I knew he was producer of the show and had the show Stargate going on. I'd never seen it. And probably about 6 months after knowing him, we were just walking along the beach, him and his wife and the kids, and he just said to me, I'd really like you in the show. I never asked him to go into the show, I never pushed it, I don't do that kind of stuff. And I went to just read, they just gave me some sides to read. Goa'uld hadn't been created. And a few months after that, I just received the script in the mail, and Goa'uld had been created. So essentially they created him for me, with me in mind. So they kind of knew the accent. I just worked with my accent. Of course they flanged the voice in the beginning. So yeah, it was phenomenal. And of course we don't know from episode to episode if we're coming back. It's because of you guys watching and the support that we stay in the show. So yeah. That's how I got it.
We want more of you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We've just been plotting this whole trip thinking maybe we should do our own little spin-off show. Kind of,
you really sounded like Ethel then, the plotting or something. That's
I'm quite good at that.
Yeah. Wonderful.
What's in the upcoming projects that you guys are working on?
What's that again?
What sort of upcoming projects are you guys working on?
Upcoming projects.
Yeah.
That's a very horrible thing to say. Now, you know what happens? Like, I'll start anyway. So like in Los Angeles, I'm really the only one. These guys are from Canada and England. LA, like I have nothing theatrically coming up. besides what I've just shot with NCIS and all of that. But I can get back and cast for something. I get back on Tuesday, I might get a casting for Thursday to start shooting something on Monday.
Yeah.
That's how quick it happens. So, besides that, I've written a book. It's my memoir. It's called Under the Cover of Darkness. When I was principal dancer at the Moulin Rouge.
Can you believe that? Principal dancer at the Moulin Rouge. Ladies! Have you got any music to us, like anything?
No.
Just like anything.
I once did the can kicks. In Paris? No, I nearly fell on my ass. This was a few years ago.
Did you have like a bend and snap, like a move that you did?
No.
If we go on the road, you'll have to pause one.
I know.
Exactly. We'll all do the
can.
Exactly.
We're
going to do like the splits.
Numbers,
I can see
I used to do splits, yeah.
And songs. It's going to be a musical now.
My wrists have both had surgeries from all the acrobatics and from doing cans and bashing. So the body's taken a beating. But anyway, the book's great. It's my memoir. It's growing up in South Africa, apartheid society, the normal violence, and going into the military, which I was then in the Air Force. And then the Moulin Rouge, behind the scenes, I got involved in Paris with mafia and diamonds from South Africa, and it's Paris nightlife. What goes on?
Just a typical story. Growing up.
Yeah. So I wrote my memoir, which was great. For me, it was good therapy.
I've actually got a question. I have to film this because it's my son who's down in Akara. We grew up, my son grew up watching Stargate and he's 20, so I had to make a promise to film this. He's got a question for you because our favourite episode was the one where you tortured Odette. Obviously, well, he wanted to know what was one of your most fun people to work with on set?
Sure, that's hard as well because they were all great, but for me, the most fun guy is Till. Even
he's mad.
He's completely mad, but what's great about him is that, when you're working and you've been on set for hours and hours and everyone's tired and everyone's getting a little bit irritable, Chris would just crack jokes and fart.
Yeah.
Really, and he would just keep it light,
Yeah.
So he just made people laugh and it kind of lightens the whole thing. So I'd have to say Chris. I mean, he kept me laughing. All of us, actually, a lot of the times.
He's hilarious. The first convention I ever did in England, I didn't really know how it worked, and I was feeling a little shy, and I didn't know some of the people and so on. And I got the brief about how it was going to go, and I was already a bit intimidated because it turned out my entrance to the convention was going to be a little bit different from the others.
Oh, you have to tell them that story.
Oh, okay.
That's brilliant.
All right. we sit in this room and I'm sort of excited. Oh, it's a convention, what do we do? And it's like, oh no, it's just like falling off a log. You just come on stage and you say who you are and when you're going to be signing tomorrow. Except you. And I'm like, me? No, you are our surprise guest, so you are going to get into a sarcophagus backstage with a live mic. And then slowly the sarcophagus will be pushed through the massive, to scale Stargate with lights and smoke. And then slowly, once you're out there, the top of the sarcophagus will pull back and you will be helped out of the sarcophagus by two Jaffa. But it's just, and I was like, the first thing I said is, I need a new outfit. I was going to wear a dress, and I thought climbing out a sarcophagus, so the next day, Apophis and I went shopping, and I actually found myself a little pinstriped suit and got into the sarcophagus positively just terrified. If I had started giggling or farting, I would have played to thousands of people on the other side, and slowly it comes through. And then the other thing was going through my mind, no one's going to know who I am. The thing pulls back, I stand up, and everyone's like, and I got out and I said, I was feeling so tired and jet lagged, and then I was in there and suddenly I feel fantastic. Anymore, it's all good. Yeah.
So the first thing I said when she told me the story is right, note to self, from now on we'll always travel with sarcophagus 2 or 4 Jaffa, because I have to do 2 more than you.
And then I went to my hotel room after and I was like, oh, I guess I just get into my pajamas and it's kind of early, and then bang, bang, bang on the hotel door. Who is it? Who knows what room I'm in? Bang, bang, bang. So I open the door a crack, it's like, eek, and the chain is there. And there's J.R. Bourne and Chris Judge. Get your clothes on and get into the bar! I was like, oh, I'm in my pajamas. No, you're not in your pajamas. You're getting your clothes on. You're coming down to the bar right now. And Chris Judge was ready to order drinks for everyone. And then J.R. Bourne eventually whispered to me and he said, you know, I'm just drinking orange juice because he just keeps ordering drinks all night. So I just have a deal with the bartender. Let him order me a vodka and orange juice and I'll just take an orange juice. So anyway, he's full of beans, that guy.
Yeah. And we've all fallen into that trap, except that the next day he's like, tung, 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 and the next day you're like this. You know, somebody asks you a question like, please don't blink so loud. Yeah.
So you guys had a bunch, we can't wait to be like tonight, got some party action in a couple of rooms. What do you think of the costumes, especially you ladies when we go, this is yours? You win.
Yeah, I'll answer that. When the original drawing for the costume came through, it actually happened later at a convention that somebody who pitched the original costume, I don't actually know how they had it, but there was a design for the original costume, and I'm not joking, it was a coat hanger. It was a metal coat hanger that had been twisted and turned and then kind of went whoop up like butt floss, you know, and that was it. And I just went, oh my God. I'm so glad it wasn't that, because when I saw what it was, I was like, oh, okay. And it was single-handedly the most uncomfortable costume I've ever worn in my entire life. I now understand why in Victorian or any period piece, women talk like that because you can't breathe. So there was that going on, and then the little neck thing was pinching all my skin like that, but they did fix that the next day. And then I couldn't go to the loo, I couldn't sit down. So they had a board for me to lean on. So every time I get tired, they'd be like, roll on the board. And I'd lie on the board and just lean back for a little bit, you know, like something that you find at, like, you know, Office Depot or something. And they'd be like, okay, we're ready. Okay, let's go. And I couldn't, it didn't.
Don't feel bad, I had that board too.
Yeah, and so did you. You had the board. You had the board. And he had the board at the butt, too. They had the one that went under his skirt.
Actually, a lot of people don't know, you know, Apophysis headdress, it was actually two headdresses. One was permanently open, it was made of rubber, heavy rubber, 60 pounds. And the other one was also about 60 pounds, but it had mechanics inside. And these were hydraulic mechanics. And back in those days, it wasn't remote controlled. There was always a guy under my ass waiting for me to deliver my line and go. And I would have to anticipate, like count a second before, you know, a second before the end of the line. I'd have to make sure my head goes back. You go back and watch those early ones. If I was talking when the thing opened or closed, you would see my head go back because it closed within a millimeter of my nose. And
I got a Viking
yeah, you know, yes, you did. So
I didn't know any of this. I had it easy.
It was all streamlined by the time you came along.
Yeah, my costumes were beautiful, except they were very, very hot. But I had nothing on my face, nothing on my head. I mean, the most uncomfortable thing, which you also said, was the hand device, which is, it's very heavy and it's made out of metal. And they put like a really sticky, gooey foam kind of
Black
stuff
thing,
to stick to your fingers, which when you take it off, the black stays on your fingers for days. You can't get it out. But it's very heavy, and you would get cramps because it kept pulling your hand. The springs would pull your hand. Very heavy, yeah.
I used to walk
very
around
hot.
my hand like this, so that the weight would bring it down. You couldn't walk around.
Because as you do this, it's just the weight of it would do that to you.
Generally, I loved my costumes. The very first one that I wore in Fair Game had that bodice piece. That piece of fabric was encrusted with semi-precious stones. And it was just that piece of fabric this big was $400. And I was told, don't tell. We're not supposed to use it, actually. But then I remember the very last, when I did Continuum, it was just this incredible outfit for that 1 minute that I'm on
just
screen.
For me, because I had to look at you.
It was just for me.
I I was very satisfied. I had them all standing there in a line, and not one of them could say a word. They spent the whole day standing there in a line in my thing, and it was really nice for the ego. To stand there. This is my scene. I'm chopping his head off. This is my scene. Don't say a word.
Even we didn't savor it, hey? It was
Well,
pretty good.
none of you. Can,
No, I felt bad for you guys.
None of you
I
can
did.
trump the scene I had in Children of the Gods.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us.
I win hands down.
Yeah.
Well, that's selecting my mate.
Oh.
I got to undress them.
That's good.
Or have Jaffa undress them for me. Well, we shot it from 6 different angles.
Peter!
No, I win.
All day.
I win because I got to snog Richard E.
Exactly.
Anderson.
You win. You don't. No time to.
And every time they do a take, I'd be like, do you know that one wasn't good for me? Can we do another one? Close up? Yeah, just one.
Wow. The only thing I ever suggested to them was, if any of you know the movie Species, the first one, great movie. When they made love, they became the serpents, those huge serpents. And my suggestion to them was that Claudia Black and I need to do it. And they were like, no. No, the kids watch the show. I'm like, oh, you know, Claudia Black, come on. Just didn't happen.
So they lost the appetite for that after the reaction to the pilot.
What was the reaction?
The reaction was negative.
Yeah.
Largely negative
Didn't get
from
released for years.
from the south, mostly.
Yeah.
It's a family show.
Yeah,
But
family
I
show,
will
but-
say that was one of the great things about the show, the fact that it appeals to all generations, and that's kind of why the show continues to develop new fans, because the children are being introduced, and there's a whole new generation of, who would have thought that the show would just kind of have this regenerative, you know, aspect to it, and it is because it appeals to the whole family.
That's what always amazed me at conventions. You'd have like grandfathers coming with their grandchildren. You know, the guy's 80 and the kid's 10, and they both watch Stargate.
Yeah.
It's like one of the few shows that's like right across the board.
Yeah.
That's why it's so popular.
Sorry, I was saying this morning the same thing, that people who watched it when, in the first season, the first couple of seasons, their children are now being introduced to it, so they're watching it with their families. So that's amazing, you know, and also the reruns and stuff.
I had a young lady come up to me today and say, maybe she's in this room, maybe not. She said, "You're the bad guy of my childhood."
You're the stuff my nightmares are
I've had some young kids come up to me and say, "You're the Darth Vader of my generation." That's actually the biggest compliment I've ever had at any convention.
Does Darth
when a little
Vader
kid
follow
says,
you on Twitter?
Yeah, I think so. I think so, yeah.
Or actually 2 or 3 Darth Vaders.
Yeah.
We had a tour guide around Egypt who I think quoted Stargate continuously. That's how what he knew about Egyptian gods. He struck you guys all the time.
That's great.
Well, Sue-Ann, you have to tell the story of your tour through Egypt.
Forgive those who heard it this morning at breakfast, but my husband and I went, where's the gentleman who's just talking about Egypt? My husband and I went on honeymoon to Egypt, so we had a private tour guide taking us around, and I didn't realise that Hathor was an Egyptian goddess. I know, you think I would have done more research for the role. And when we got there, we had this guide, and she kept going, oh, and this is the very beautiful Hathor, and Hathor is a very famous goddess, she's very beautiful. And I kept going, so she can see that we're kind of laughing and joking, and finally, she spoke very, very, very good English, but not good enough to kind of joke with. So finally she said to me, is everything okay? Or I said, oh yes, fine. I said, do you watch American television? No. Oh, well, anyway, this Hathor, I am an actress, and I played Hathor on TV? Nothing. I'm like, do you know MacGyver? No. Okay. Anyway, so on we go, and you know, it's all fine, and every time we go in the museum, there's Hathor this and Hathor that. That night she says to us, so tomorrow I come to pick you up 5:30, please be on time in the airport because it's very early. I said, fine. And my husband and I are getting ready for dinner, and he comes running into the bedroom, he's like, oh my God, you're on television! You're on TV! So I go into the room, and there I am in Hathor speaking Egyptian. Next morning, 5:30. I'm not good in the mornings. I'm sitting there like this with no makeup on, and the guy walks in. She's like, "Oh my God! You, Hathor! I see you on the television last night. My brother has the television. You have come home to us." She's like, "I can't believe it! I'm so excited." We get in the car, she's telling the driver's beside him, so he's like, I'm looking at my husband, I'm saying, "Oh God, we're going to die." Because the car's doing this, going all the way into the desert, and every now and then he's like, "Whoa." We didn't have to touch a piece of luggage. Every time we went anywhere, people parted like this. We landed in Luxor, the guy's like, "Oh my God, there's Hathor." "Oh my goodness, they even know about it in Luxor." So yeah, she's been very kind to me, Hathor.
That's great.
So did any of you acquire any mementos from the set before you finished up with your time?
I used to answer no to that question until I remembered that I actually have a script. I can't even tell you which episode it is, but it's white pages from a script that I picked up one day after a read-through. I did slip it into my bag, thinking consciously that it was going to be worth something one day.
I didn't know it was conscious.
Became conscious.
Oh.
Became conscious because everybody else was talking about it. I overheard a conversation. But the thing I have acquired most from Stargate is not a tangible thing. It's a gift that keeps on giving, actually. It's an asteroid named after Apophis.
That's so cool.
I don't know. You reacted like no one's heard this.
I know.
Google it. Asteroid Apophis. It's a big deal. A couple of American astronomers discovered this asteroid that goes around Earth every few years, and it's considered a near-Earth object, near-Earth orbit. It has a statistical likelihood of colliding with us in 2036. Creation.
Wow.
It passes by in 2029 at an orbit so close that it is expected to alter its orbit, therefore making 2036 that much more dangerous. And they call it Apophis because of its regenerative. Yes, exactly. So I'm trying to play that for all it's worth. Go and Google it.
I just picture it as your transport, but you're like, "Wait, no, come on." I sit here.
It's here. It destroys all of creation except you. Just hop on and off you go.
Except me and all of my Twitter followers. I promised them.
Yeah. Well, I accidentally left the set with a couple of items, and I actually didn't even remember because years and years have passed, but I knew that they were from the set. And as soon as I realized I'd gotten home and I was ready to take off my makeup, and realized I was still wearing the earrings and had the bindi, which was applied to my forehead, on. So I called wardrobe and I said, "I have these items," but I had finished shooting the episode, and they said, "Don't worry about it. It's absolutely fine." And I actually had the bindi stuck on my mirror on the inside of my medicine cabinet all these years. And the earrings, I wasn't sure what episode these items were from until Melbourne. And I just happened to look down at a picture as I was signing, and I thought, "Oh, it was Fair Game." I had the bindi from Fair Game.
Yeah, I was given my armband because it was custom made for me. And sort of when I left, I said, "Oh," and she said, "Well, do you know what? Because it was quite hard. It wasn't a flex. Everything else was quite flexible." And then they just said to me, "You can keep it if you want." And I almost went, "No, actually." And also, something in me, I just thought, "No, I think I will."
I kept my boots from continuing.
Cool boots.
The wardrobe came around when we finished shooting and whatever, and they came around to collect the costumes. And I was like, "These are amazing boots." She said, "It's fine.
Oh, that's nice.
So they're sitting in my cupboard, isn't it? And they're famous because they're on every photograph, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So it's great. They're great boots.
I asked for the muslin version, which is the practice version of the dress that I wore in Continuum. And
But that was so late in the development of the series and its popularity that I think someone in wardrobe had her eye on it and was like, no, I'm sorry, it's impossible. We can't part with it. It's very important that we keep this. So it's like, okay. Because even the muslin version of the dress was stunning, and the workmanship was flawless. I mean, the best costume team I have ever worked with. Incredible.
Yeah, they won awards.
Yeah.
There's a reason I want to get into costume design.
Oh. Christine Mooney, who sadly passed. Yes. Does anybody have any more questions? Come on, don't be shy. We don't bite unless asked very nicely.
Would you please, though?
Would you please?
If you were given creative control of your character, what would you do?
I certainly wouldn't have killed her off.
Same here.
That's the first thing I would.
Yeah, it's so funny, anything can happen.
Yeah, I think it's a bit late now. The series finished.
Yeah. I would have asked for a pair of boots like Bob. All I got were ballet shoes painted gold.
And maybe me being the ex-dancer, I should have got this.
Well, I actually have story credit on Metamorphosis, which is the episode in which I die, but it's shared story credit. So damn James Tishner, who was an editor who had pitched a story, and our stories went into the story room at the same time, got mixed into the pot, and it was his turn. He was kind of given the opportunity to write a script, and that was the one they chose for him. And so sadly, I remember Brad calling me and saying, we're so glad we're going to be using your story. And I was like, awesome! He's like, I'm going to send the script over. He goes, I'm sorry. I was like, what do you mean? Oh, I die. I die in the episode that I actually write part of the story. It's excruciating.
What was your version though? You obviously didn't write that you died.
No, I didn't. But you see, the story itself was very, the writer's room involves executive producers, creative consultants, story editors, and all the stories that pitch go in there, and they choose elements from different things. So I had actually been asked by the executive producer of Andromeda to pitch something. So I developed a concept for Andromeda. And then the timing wasn't right there, so when I was having lunch with Brad one day, and I said, I have a couple of ideas I want to throw at you, and he said, oh, well, let me hear them. And so I told him this concept of this DNA machine. I said, it's a machine that you actually can go into and you can manipulate and so on. And in fact, my version, you could actually climb the DNA like a stairwell. And I honestly can't even remember what happens with the relationships at the end of the story. But it was mainly the concept of the DNA machine, the manipulation of DNA to create what became in the Stargate version, Nirti's attempt at creating the ideal Hawk-Tar. So, yeah.
Ideal hot tub?
Hot tub. Ideal hot tub for more propagation of those little worms.
Yeah. That's a different show altogether.
When you had a makeup done to your face, how many hours more did that add to the start of the day? And they brought you back and then...
Yes, that one, yeah.
Wait, before you start, because yours is long. Me, I would arrive,
yeah.
I would get my coffee, I would go into hair and makeup, and they'd look at me and go, you're fine. I never had, really. They would maybe do this, that was it, just powder. Yeah, luckily, because normally in sci-fi you got this.
Yeah.
But I was really happy that I didn't have to, and if they wanted me to do full-on facial makeup, latex, monstery stuff, I probably wouldn't have done the role. Yeah. No, I was very lucky with that. So they're easy. Yeah.
Mine wasn't really ever full on. It was after they killed me and brought me back, after the double episode, Joel and I's Memories and The Devil You Know. Half my face reflected previous torture. Ostensibly it healed over time as I continued to use my sarcophagus, so it got smaller and smaller, and that lessened the hair and makeup time. It was a process of first of all an initial process of getting a plaster cast of the face to make a prosthesis of some kind, a prosthetic of some kind, and then it had to be painted the correct color. Then they had to experiment with the shape of the metal implants. So it was quite a process, but these guys don't like to spend money, you know, too long, so they streamlined it. After a while, it was just here, a little bit of glue, and on it goes. But it would sweat and it was stinky when it came off.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and for example, my first day I was probably in 2 hours, and generally for a woman they'll call you with a lot of extra time, too much really, because you've got your hair and your makeup and your wardrobe, and then you sit for hours. But the makeup was fairly dramatic, but then they also had an authentic Mendi artist. So the Mendi was the henna tattooing on the hands, and it was probably about an hour and a half the first day. Wow. And then we just kind of kept penciling it in over the course of the week of shooting. But then we learned that it might have been even at the end of that episode or the next episode, they learned that there were some stick-on stencils. And so they just stuck the stencils on, and then you just colored them in. And so I would go home, and when I had time, they gave me the pen, I would just color them in, because it would save my day the next day. So, and with the guys who really do the prosthetics, it can be 4 hours.
Oh yeah.
You know, like Alex Sahara, some of the guys who did a lot of those characters, and Alex Sahara and Dion Johnstone who play Egar and the other guy who finked me out and get me killed. They were in prosthetics just for hours and hours, really uncomfortable, and that was one of the reasons actually Alex was used so many times, because he had a high tolerance for it.
A friend of mine was just in Teen
and
Wolf.
his talent, of course.
A friend of mine did like 10 episodes of Teen Wolf a little while ago, and his makeup would run, Gideon, a friend of ours, like 6 hours.
What character was he?
Deucalion. He's my best friend.
That's so cool. And we've known him. The three of us have known each other since.
Yeah, he's also South
20
African.
years. 20
British
years.
and then South African.
Wow.
Yeah. Great guy. He might be at the Teen Wolf convention coming up next year in Melbourne and Sydney, so go see him. He's a great guy. But yeah, 6 hours he would sit in the chair, and I'm like, Gideon, there's no way I would do that. There's no way. I couldn't, I'm claustrophobic with that kind of stuff.
I did a game, a computerized of Babylon 5, I think it was. See the ones who had the nans, the nans,
Yep.
the nans. And I played, because I was like, a nan? Isn't that a bread? But I played a high priestess in that, but a nan priestess. And I had this enormous head. And of course, when you get to a costume design, you go, oh my God, that's amazing, it's this and that. But they're half lizard or something, aren't they? So I had hard contact lenses, I had to wear red contact lenses. It was single-handedly the most excruciating, painful, long day of my life, because once it's on, it's on. There's nothing you can do. So you can kind of lie down in your trailer and wait till they're ready. And then you sort of have to kind of sit up really carefully and get people to help. You can't go through the door. And I kept forgetting, after a while I'd forget that it was on. So I remember like going to the bathroom and washing my hands and being like, oh God! Thanks for looking back at you.
Actually, the first episode that Morena Baccarin and I did together, when she came into the show, she had the eyes contacts in. And after about 2 hours, she had to take them out. Her eyes got so bad, and they had to change all camera angles and shoot her from behind and that, because she just couldn't take it. It's very, very uncomfortable.
Well, especially
and then you're in a studio with dust, and
dust
it's
and
hot,
lights,
and but that's the job, you know, and it's not, there's no glamour.
I think that they've improved those lenses, because they used to just do hard lenses for kind of special effects lenses, but I think now they've got, because I see people wearing them all the time for Halloween and stuff like that. So they have to have slightly better ones. But yeah, you're right. There ain't no glamour in that.
What about the food? Food's good?
Dog biscuits are great. Food's always good on set. Always.
Yeah, food is always good.
It has to be. Otherwise they get fined.
People come at ungodly hours to start work, you know. Your crew call could be, you know, before dawn, and so the only good thing about that is that there's a catering truck bringing great food and coffees.
And food's like it's like in the military. If it's not good, the morale drops quick. It's got to be good, you know, or at least nutritious.
So how tiny your costumes were? You don't have to be too close.
No, but they were good because they catered to everybody. There was a kind of gluten-free, fruit only. You could go the full fat. So like the start of the week, all the girls would be like fruit. End of their shoot, end of their job, everyone would be like, I'm having the big lunch today.
What do you think of the other Stargate series?
Well, I haven't watched the others, but I admire actors in both. And this weekend, actually, in Melbourne, we worked with Elena Hoffman, and she's fantastic. What a lovely lady. So, I don't know. Well, personally, I didn't watch any of it.
You mean the Stargate series?
Yeah.
I watched a couple of the Atlantis shows. I thought Atlantis was really good. I watched the premiere of Universe, and I didn't like it at all.
Yes.
They took a big chance, and they wanted to make it different, you know, and maybe appeal to maybe a younger crowd or something, but it just didn't work, unfortunately, you know. Didn't work at all. I didn't like it at all, and it had great actors in.
I mean,
really
I love
amazing actors.
That's why I wanted to watch it, because of the
Ferreira,
actor.
wow, like amazing.
Who are he?
Louis Ferreira.
Oh
Yeah.
Amazing.
And Ming Na and all that. They're great actors.
There's some fabulous actors.
Louis Diamond Phillips.
Yeah. It's a funny thing though, we were saying it's like an ephemeral thing that you just don't know. You know, if people knew what it was, you'd, oh God, we'd bottle it and we'll be selling it.
Exactly.
You just don't know what
You don't know,
it
like
is.
we were talking about the other night, like you can come out, we've all done work that kind of like we'll never talk about, you know? But look at Sharknado. I mean, it's the worst thing ever made, but it just hit like huge cult following.
It's timing.
You never know.
There's a zeitgeist. There's just a certain consciousness that people collectively share, and then if the timing is right, and then if you also have the talent, but also the chemistry, because sometimes the talent doesn't even have to be stellar. There has to be some good talent, but there can even be some weak ones that climb on the back of the others. If the chemistry is right, people respond to that. There's just this free soul that you can't put a name to it, but it's
equally though, it can go the other way, that you can have brilliant actors, brilliant screenplay, brilliant, and for some reason the public don't respond to it. I shot a pilot, one of my first jobs in Los Angeles, a pilot directed by Peter Bogdanovich, who's an Academy Award-winning director, with Scott Bakula in the lead. It was such a good series, and I just think he'd just come off Quantum Leap at the time, or recently, and so the public knew him as that. And they tested the show, and the feedback was terrible. Came back and it just said negative, too dark. And I don't know if anyone here is familiar with the series Millennium. It was very similar to that, but way before Millennium. And I think just it was too soon. But you know what I mean? Like, had we hit at the right time?
And how frustrating for the creators of that show when they see Millennium come out and they think, oh, I was there 10 years earlier, but sadly just missed that.
Same with Paul Haggis, actually, the guy who wrote Crash. He wrote a pilot called Easy Streets, E-Z Streets, which are streets in Chicago. And Linda Fiorentino, your double, ended up playing, because I tested against her, and she got it, and then it never got made. But it was very similar to Crash, but set in Chicago. Because I remember us having this conversation. So, you know, you just don't know.
Right, let's wrap that up. Thank you very much to our system lawyers. Tomorrow at 11 AM they will be on the main stage, and then Monday we split them up and find out what the boys really think of it. And find out how the boys really behave behind the stage.
The puff and ruffle. That's all I'm saying.